to share with us on the chat. We're going to be very attentive to check your writings and answer to you as fast as possible, okay? So please welcome and enjoy this activity. Juan Carlos, could you please start? Well, I forgot something important. This webinar is going to be recorded. We hope that you're not going to have any trouble with that, because it is important to keep the file for other teachers who couldn't attend the webinar, and they can watch it in other time, okay?
Okay, guys, welcome, and a brief bio data our presenters. Carmen Cecilia Llanos Ospina, business administrator and English teacher at Universidad Libre. She's a master's degree in teaching English as a foreign language from Universidad CESI. Janet Patricia Mosquera, bachelor in foreign languages and master in educational technology from Tecnológico de Monterrey. She has 20 years of experience in ELT in different educational levels. Currently, she works at a public school. Juan Carlos Vargas Millán, bachelor in foreign languages and master in education informatics. 11 years of experience in ELT, FLE, and LE in several universities. Currently, English teacher and language center of Libre University and Santiago de Cali University.
Okay, thank you very much, Juan Carlos. Okay, this is the first activity we're going to do before beginning our webinar, okay? I want that you observe the comic that we are presenting to you. And I want to invite you to write a short description, no more than 3 to 5 sentences, on the chat about what comes to your mind when you see this comic, okay? So you're going to write a short description, remember, on the chat, and we are gonna take 3 minutes to answer this activity, okay? Let's go to the chat and write your short description. Okay, I'm having some answers here on the chat. You are mentioning that it's clearly unfunny, sharks in the wrong place. Two sharks want to enjoy the beach with a man and a woman. Okay, so let's share our impressions of the comic, please. Okay, that's a very good comment from teacher Frances. She said that the picture describes that it's necessary to effort yourself to achieve your goals. Very good. Who else wants to share your impressions in our chat about the comic? Okay, here someone mentioned that's a high risk, just for a bite, okay? Excellent, never give up. Okay, remember, write what comes to your mind when you see this comic. Let's write on the chat. Okay, we have here more comments. Don't give up. What you want to achieve is closer than you think, okay? The man could use some exercise to get fit. Okay, that's a good point. The sharks are very near to the people. I think that they are hungry, okay? They are enjoying, but they have the danger near. Okay, it's weird that the sharks are in the wrong side. And these two people, they don't imagine that two sharks are so near to them. And I think they are telling us that we must be ready. The cartoon is about doing everything possible to achieve what you want. Okay. Okay, thank you very much for your participation on this first activity. Okay, let's go, Juan Carlos, to the next slide now. Okay, this was just to introduce you where does a story come from. Okay, sometimes we as teachers need to think about ideas. How can we motivate our students to create their own stories? The activity that we did before is one that I use with my students, and it's so amazing and surprising to find the things that they write about that comic. For example, some of them are very aware of the environmental situation that we are having now, and they say, okay, that situation is because people are taking part of the sharks' environment, and they need to look for other ways to they need to look for other ways to get food. Okay, and there are others more creative that mentioned that the sharks are very smart, and that maybe that story happens or that picture occurs in a different dimension. Okay, so coming to the topic, so you can get ideas for a story from different things, and any resource can be useful for creating a story. We can use, for example, a picture, the one we did before, or we can use a picture without any letters, any title. We can ask our student to reflect or think about why the person took that picture, where they were, maybe something special happened that day. So, and that they can create a story around that picture. We can also think about the news. The news are an important tool to create stories, because sometimes it's difficult for our students, especially for the smallest one, for the elementary levels, to understand what is happening around us. So we can tell the news in a more enjoyable or a different way, that they can get in touch to what is happening to us, and they can understand the situation. For example, we were living the pandemic. Our children didn't understand very well why they couldn't go to school, why they couldn't meet their friends, and telling a story about this and how to take care of themselves could be a great idea, okay? We can also take a story from a video. We can think about a video about an imaginary situation and create a story about that. Or we can think about a video that is related to a curriculum content, and also to work with that resources to create our story. Now here you have personal experiences. Personal experiences are very important, because they are connected with our life. They connect our emotions. They are unique. So we can get a lot of information from our students, and we can invite our students, for example, to write about their first day at school, and about their vacations, or something special they want to share with us. I did an activity like this with my students, sharing personal experiences. I really was surprised when I find some information that I didn't know about them. For example, that they used to be in a special, they used to practice, sorry, they used to practice special sports, but they couldn't continue because of their studies. Or they talk about special feelings that they have with their granny, and something like that. So these stories are so great. And finally, you can use all your imagination. I imagine that if I ask you, tell me how do you get ideas to create a story, and I'm going to find a lot of ideas on the chat on this case, okay? Now, let's go to the next slide. Okay, okay, so there is a teacher who is asking about if the person can record this webinar. I don't know if that is possible, but I want to remind you that this webinar is being recorded, because the Cámara de Comercio is going to share it after. I don't know exactly how we're going to access to the video, but you can do it. We are recording exactly because we know that there are some teachers that can't attend the webinar, okay? And before I start with this slide, I want to remind you that you can write your comments, questions, or doubt, anything that you want to share with us on the chat, okay? Now, thinking about our story, what do you need to write our story? How can we start? And how can we motivate our students or explain them to write their stories? We had two aspects that we need to consider. The first one is that we need to select the topic what we're going to talk about, or is the problem that we're going to write about. The purpose of our story, maybe what do you plan to do with your story? Do you want to inform, instruct, persuade, or question? Identify your audience, who is going to read your story, and what is the context of your students, what do they what they like, what kinds of maybe characters, programs, music they like to create your story. After this, you need to start writing your script or your storyboard that is calling other spaces. And on this script, it's very important that it's not just only the text that you're going to write about your story, but you have to add also pictures, images, audio. So on this way, your story is going to be more interesting for your students. And we must be careful because we need to use common creative, no commercial resources, so we are not going to have any troubles with copyright. And finally, we have to decide what is the best tool to create our story. There are many tools that we can find online that they are free. For example, some of you maybe you know about these tools. For example, Powtoon, Pixton, Story.dat. But we can also use other resources like a PowerPoint, a Word document, or even we can use some photocopyable resources to create our stories with our students. On the other hand, when we are writing our story, we need to identify three main parts that, okay, we already know that are the beginning, the middle, and the end of the story. The beginning, okay, you know that is where we try to capture our audience attention, and we introduce our characters, introduce the topic, we set the scene, and we begin the plot, okay, here at the beginning. Then we have the middle where most of our story is told. Here we give more details, more information about the problem. And sometimes on this part of the story is where it reaches the climax or the turning point. And finally, we have the end where the conflict is resolved and we know what happened to all our characters. Everybody expects to have the happy end, okay? So these parts are not only important for writing your story, but also that your students can identify these parts when they are reading their stories. There is a great strategy that I love and I used with my students, and it's very useful just for children and teenagers. And it's about the fingers of your hand. And they say, for example, that the thumb is for characters, that they can be people, animals, things. The index is for settings, to say where and when the story occurs. The middle finger is for the problem that you're going to tell in your story. The ring finger is about the parts of the story, the events, the beginning, the middle, and the end. And finally, the pinky finger that is about the solution. So you can also find some, these are graphic organizers using your hand and the fingers, that your students can read the story and identify those elements in that story, or when they are writing their stories, they can also use this graphic organizer to create their stories, okay? Here on the chat, somebody is asking me the names of some apps to create stories. Yes, I'm going to write them to you, don't worry, okay? Now, if you have comments, if you have questions, or do you want to share something with us, because we know that you also have experience on this topic, you can write it on the chat. We are going to be very attentive to answer you. And the people who has just arrived to our webinar, please remember to fill out the attendance, okay? So we are going to listen to my partner, Carmen. She's going to tell you more about storytelling, okay? So Carmen, please. Carmen, you had your microphone. You had to turn on your microphone, Carmen.
Yes, thanks. Storytelling is an ancient art. Many generations have heard Little Red Riding Hood, Cinderella, Snow White, The Three Little Pigs, and other stories. No matter how teachers tell stories, they are excellent tools in the EFL classroom. In this sense, a typical question that many of us have asked is, why should we use stories in the EFL classroom? Perhaps many teachers have used stories, and this is the perfect time for you to think about 3 words, only 3 words that best answer this question. How are we going to do it? Okay, next slide. Okay. By clicking on the Slido link that we have shared in the chat, you can answer the question and then we will see the results. Okay, only 3 words, please. For this activity, you have 2 minutes. The link is on the chat.
Okay, the link is not yet on the chat, so we need to paste it. Juan Carlos?
Okay, just a second.
It's there.
Yes, it's right there now.
It's there now.
The link appearing on the chat, please.
I can see the link on the chat.
It is there.
But you're talking about the first activity, okay? Then
Slido.
Slido, yes.
Give us a second, please.
Wait a moment. It's there now.
Okay.
So for this activity, you have 2 minutes. Please keep in mind that you only have to write 3 words that best describe what storytelling is, or why you should use storytelling in the EFL classroom. All right, so we have the answers ready. Okay, Juan Carlos, can you please help me? So, results show that the three most repeated words were motivation, creativity, and imagination. So we have motivation, creativity, imagination. Perfect. Among other answers, we have, Juan Carlos, can you please help me? We also have participation, more interesting activities. Great. So we have quite a good number of answers. Perfect. Considering your answers in Slido, we can also add up other aspects that are important. Okay. Motivation is a must. It raises the enthusiasm, imagination. It is quite interesting to see how students can think or predict the end of a story. In addition, they sometimes anticipate what is going to happen next in the story. It is a meaningful activity. Students use real life stories and adapt them to their own lives. Fluency. In terms of fluency, we can say that the student feels more comfortable using the language. It is important to note that the errors they can make do not interfere with the message. Speaking of language awareness, they are able to understand, appreciate, and use the language. It is a stimulus for speaking and writing, especially for those students who do not feel very comfortable with these skills. Communication. Students increase vocabulary and feel more confident to exchange ideas and to communicate with classmates. And there is also another important aspect, which is the general curriculum. General curriculum integrates engagement, reflection for deeper learning, project-based learning, and integration of technology into instruction. And this is also in line with what Barrett said in 2005.
Okay, thank you, Carmen, for reviewing the benefits of using storytelling in the EFL classroom. Now, I want to invite you to do another activity. And remember that you can write your comments, questions, doubts, anything that you want to share with us on the chat. For example, Jefferson wrote, it will help to maintain a good English speaking atmosphere, which will help your students focus on learning and using English. Thank you for your comments. Okay, now, the following activity is an excellent tool that I use in my classes, and I really hope that you love it. I love them too much. We are going to start watching a video, so please, I need Juan Carlos help me showing the video. Okay, while Juan Carlos is going to look for the video, I want to tell you, okay, more information about the activity. Okay, we are going to watch this video. It's a very short video. And we are going to stop the video in one moment of the story. I'm going to invite you to answer 2 questions about the video. So I need that you be very attentive to what happened to our character on that video again, okay? So Juan Carlos, please could you show us Please confirm to us if you are listening to the video, if you can see it well.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Juan Carlos. Okay, thank you. That is the part we're going to start the video. Now, okay. I want to invite you to answer two questions about this video. The first question is, what do you think is going to happen to the dog? And the second one is, how this story is going to end. To do this activity, we are going to go to a link that we are going to put on the chat. Juan Carlos, we need the link on the chat. And when you click on that link, it's going to direct you to a slide on Jamboard. And there you are going to click on a sticky note to write your answers to the questions, okay? So you can click on the link that we have on the chat and answer the questions. Remember, what do you think is going to happen to the dog and how this story is going to end? If you have some troubles trying to answer this activity, you can ask me on the chat. I'm going to be very attentive to answer you or to help you, okay? So let's start. Okay, we already have some answers on the slide of Jamboard. So please, I invite you to participate on this activity. What do you think is going to happen to our main character of this story? This is an excellent tool that you can also use with your students if you are having some online classes. Okay, we have some comments here. There are some of them too small that I can't read. He say he's going to meet the, the blind woman. Okay, and the dog is going to find a person to help, like the girl that was passing by. He's going to look for a new chance and do it better. The dog will help a person. I think everything is a process. The pet is going to overcome. Okay, excellent ideas about the story. The dog won't give up and will prepare harder to show he can. Okay, it's a little difficult for me to read because here I can, there are some messages or some sticky note that the letter is too small for me. I don't know if Juan Carlos can help me with those letters to why to make them bigger. Okay, here I have the best is coming. The dog is going to have a new opportunity to help people, and I can read the last part, like a feeling appreciated, I think is. Okay, okay, the dog is going to live with a new person and it is going to help the women that can't see. Okay, thank you very much for your participation on this activity. I can see very, very nice ending for our story, and you are very positive. That's the most important.
Excuse me, Janet.
Yes.
You were talking about this activity. It is also very helpful for students who are very visual, and those students, sometimes they lose concentration. So this is an excellent tool for them.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Carmen, for your comments. Okay, now, this is a very, very interesting tool, as Carmen mentioned. These videos, sorry, are called short video films. The best of these videos is that they don't last more than 3 to 5 minutes, and you can use them to motivate your student, for example, to write the story around the video, to create a new end, or to write what happens after the video is saying okay, can write something about, for example, on this video, what happened to our main character after the end that we're going to see later. Okay, and we can also connect this activity with some grammatical aspects, such as using future or modal verbs to predict it. Okay, so now I want to invite you to see the end to check, okay, if you agree, if you predict what was going to happen to our main character in the video. So let's watch the final part of the video. Thank you, Juan Carlos, for helping me. Well, I really hope that you enjoyed the video. Okay, a teacher is asking me about where can we find these videos. Okay, these videos are in YouTube. You just write on YouTube, you write short video films, and you can find different kinds of videos, and they are very, very nice, and you can use them in your classes. You know that the best of YouTube, like you can share the videos with your students, or you can download them. Okay, and the most important is that they are short, so your students are not going to lose their concentration on the video. Now I want to invite to finish this activity, so we are going again to the link. So click on the link again, and on the top of the slide, you can see a number. So we were on number 1. Now we're going to move to number 2. It's the same link. So in case that you get out of the link before, you click on the link that we have on the chat, and you go to the slide on Jamboard, and then on the top of the slide, you find the numbers. So you're going to move from slide 1 to slide 2, okay? If you have some troubles getting to this activity, you can ask me on the chat, I can help you, okay? And we are going to answer 2 questions. Did you ever think this was going to be the end? What were your feelings when you watched this video? Okay, so let's start. Okay, the link again. Here it is. Let me help you with it. Okay, it's ready. Thank you, Juan Carlos, for helping me with the link. Okay, let's start checking your answers. Okay, here says, I think in my students, sometimes I don't believe in their abilities to do it really well. Okay, that's a good thought. Do it with patience or not at all. Okay, I was happy. Me too. Yes, I did. The feelings, I think it was very thoughtful and kind. Okay, my prediction was really accurate. Great. Okay.
We also have somehow, yes, I think it was a cute video.
Okay. It is a touching story. Call my feelings, sense of calm
Also,
and glory.
yeah, also Janet, also we have, it shows us that we can teach our goals in spite of difficulties.
Okay, excellent. Okay, as you can see, this is an excellent tool to work with our students. They cannot also write about the story of the video, but they can also make some reflections about the video. For example, my students feel very identified with the dog. Some of them were so funny because they wrote, it looks like the dog that I have at home. I said, oh yeah, are you sure about that? It's the same dog. And they really like this video. And you can find more interesting videos on YouTube. Remember to keep them short. It's important that they don't last more than 3 to 5 minutes so that your students are going to be interested and they're not going to lose their concentration, okay?
Excuse me, Janet, let me read another one that I just, okay. I felt that I want to hug the dog because I felt proud of him.
Okay, what I do with my students is that they write the end and they share their stories with their partners and they start trying to check who agree or disagree with some of the endings. And okay, it's very good because they don't just do some writing activity, but they also have to speak because they have to tell me why they agree or not with the story, and they have to give some to explain to speak more than they want. Okay. Well, now let's talk about digital storytelling. Or what is it? Okay, so we have that Robin. Robin defines digital storytelling as the art of telling stories with a mixture of digital media such as image, audio, and video. And he said that these stories are classified into 3 main categories. The first one is personal narrative. These are stories that contain accounts of significant incidents in one's life. We can find on this, we can find meaningful stories when you are talking about, for example, the places where you have lived, the person you have met. For example, I have a student who I told you before who wrote a story about her granny because she didn't live with her parents, but with her granny, so she wrote a story about that. Or you can, your students can write about some challenges they have faced or some special events that have occurred in their life and have influenced them in the way they are now. The second one that we have are historical documentaries. These are stories that examine dramatic occurrences that helps us understand the past. On this case, for example, you can invite your students to, for example, you can say, okay, we're going to create a story about America's discovery. On this case, your students are going to research about the topic. They need to analyze the information and synthesize the information to get the most important to create their stories. And that is very important because they are not going only to develop the basic English skills, but they're going to develop other skills that they need on this time, okay? And finally, we had the content area stories designed to inform or instruct the viewer about a concept or practice. This could be a little confused because all the stories in one way or another, they inform or instruct. But the distinction about these stories are that they are designed or they are created to deliver a specific content about some areas like science, math. For instance, you can invite your students to write a story about um, how to perform an experiment or to explain a concept in a more interesting way. Okay, so that could be a great content story. Okay, so remember that if you have questions, doubts, or if you want to share something with us, you can write on the chat, and we are going to be very attentive to answer you. And please, the people who got into the webinar maybe a little later, remember to fill out the attendance, okay? So now we're going to listen to Carmen, that she's going to tell us something else about what is digital storytelling, okay? Thank you very much. Carmen? Carmen, please turn on your microphone.
Thank you, Janet, for reminding me. Okay, so here we have an image that maybe in the center we have digital storytelling. On one side, on your left side, we have it is not about, and on the right side, we have it is about. Okay? For some of you, it might be confusing, but don't worry, I'm going through it. Tolizano in 2015 created a list that makes a contrast on what storytelling is and what it is not that we want to share with you, which is this image. So she said that storytelling, it's not about the tools, but it's about skills. It is not about creating media, but it's about creating meaning. It is not about telling a story, but it's about contributing and collaborating. It is not about telling an isolated story, but it's about sharing and connecting. It is not about it is not about transfer of knowledge, but it's about amplification of our voices using personal life or anecdotes. It is not about substituting traditional stories, but it's about transforming stories. This information is really important to keep it in mind when you develop or when you want to work with your students using digital storytelling. Next slide, please. All right. So to complement some of the ideas that she said, we can also say that that digital storytelling is also for all ages and levels, because sometimes people think that children cannot do it, but yes, they can create stories from images. New talents can be discovered in students that complement other disciplines. For instance, some students like too much history, but others like biology. So you can discover that some of them are more inclined to a biology, for example, discipline. It is definitely a research skill throughout the whole process. For instance, when they need to work on documentaries, they need to research for information, or when they have to surf the web looking for information, or in some cases when they don't have access to the internet, they can search for information on encyclopedias. It works the synthesis, analysis, and communication skills. They need to get main ideas, summarize pieces of information, and they also need to organize ideas, ask questions, express opinions, and construct narratives. There is an important aspect that is related to communicative competence, which is really promoted in these activities. It should include the ability to use grammatical structure in different situations to give a meaning and to interpret messages that the other person wants to say. Emotional intelligence. In this situation, students learn to receive feedback and critique. In terms of collaboration and social learning, they receive feedback from others, and they can they can start like saying to another student, no, but this is what I really want to say. Values and feelings are also involved, as it is a personalized experience. And in terms of 21st century skills, critical thinking and literacies are promoted. There are 5 literacies that we need to keep in mind.
Ay, no, se me corta a mí o a ella.
Digital, global, technology, visual, and information literacies. We can go with the next slide.
Okay, thank you, Carmen. Please, Juan Carlos, could you check if there are some people waiting to get into the webinar, because teacher Pablo wrote to me. And remember to write your comments, questions, or doubts on the chat. We're going to be very attentive to
No, nobody's coming, Janeth.
Okay, because
I
Pablo
admitted all of them.
Okay, thank you very much for your help. Okay, now I really love this part, because sometimes we want to know about the theory part, but we also want to know or to get some tools to introduce this topic with our students. So we are going to share with you some ideas. We really hope that you get the best of them and that you can apply them in your schools, okay? The first one that I want to share with you is the page of the British Council. I think that most of you have seen this page, and it has a lot of resources to use with our students. Okay, now I want that Juan Carlos, please help me opening the link. And on this website, we can find two story maker. That's the name, story maker. And there your students, or you can create stories about 6 different topics that are, I already forgot the name, fairy, science, fiction, horror, detective, fantasy, and adventure. Okay, those are the topics that you can find there. Okay, when you get into this web page, you're going to find this, and you're going to start creating your story. I would like to have a volunteer who wants to help me to create the first story, who can participate. You can participate using your microphone, or you can write on the chat the answers, what I'm going to be asking you. This is very easy. This is This is a great tool just for children and teenagers too. So who can help me? Not all at the same time. Just
But
one of you.
also, sorry, Janet, or also they can raise the hand.
Yes, okay. Who wants? Who can raise your hand to participate in my first activity? Pablo would like to participate. Okay, so let's check with Pablo. Okay, now, Juan Carlos, could you please start the activity? Okay, when you are going to start this activity, the web page is going to give you different options, and you are going to select the option that you most like, or the one that you prefer. Okay. So on this case, Pablo, are you going to open your microphone, or are you going to write on the chat the answers?
No, I prefer using my microphone.
Okay, thank you very much, teacher, for your participation in the activity. Okay, tell me, which type of story would you like? A fairy story, science fiction story, or a horror story?
Well, I would like to, it's very difficult. Fairy story, fairy.
Fairy story, okay, my student would prefer a horror story. Okay, now this story is about a king and a queen. Where do they live?
They live in a tree house.
Okay, in a tree house. Very good. Now, the king and queen have a daughter. What's her name?
Her name is Anastasia.
Okay, thank you. Very good. Now, let's see. What's the best prize to get?
Money, always money.
Yes, sure. Okay, now, what's your favorite musical instrument?
Drums.
Okay, drums, very good. Now, there's a boy in this story. What's his job?
He is a gardener.
Okay, gardener. Now, the boy in the story has got a pet. What is it?
It is a frog.
Okay, a frog. Okay, and now, using all the information that you already select, so the web page is going to create a story with that information. Pablo, could you help us reading your story?
Yes, of course, yes. It says, once upon a time, there was a king and a queen. They lived in a lovely golden tree house and had a beautiful daughter, Anastasia. But Anastasia was very unhappy. She never laughed or smiled. We will give money to the person who can make Anastasia happy, said the queen. A musician came and played the drums. A fairy said a magic spell, and a joker came and told jokes. But Anastasia didn't smile or laugh. A young gardener came to work at the queen's tree house. He came with his little frog. The little frog liked to play. One day, Anastasia saw the frog and started to smile. Then she laughed. The queen heard her daughter and saw the frog. The frog was very happy to get money.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, Pablo, for participating in this activity. Okay, the advantages of this activity is that your students can create different stories. You don't know which options they are going to select. You can download the stories. You can download them in a PDF document, or you can take a screenshot or cut the story and save it as a picture. The disadvantages is that this is a web page, so you need to have internet connection to do the activity, or your students need to have access to internet. So that is like the bad part about the activity. But as teacher, you can also create a story, create different stories, and download them and print it to share with your students and do the activities. Yeah? Okay, on this website, we also can find some short stories that they are very great. Okay, I would like to ask Juan Carlos to give click on any of the stories.
Janet, let me
Yes?
tell you that many teachers have said in the chat that they like the activity.
Okay,
It is a
that's
great
excellent.
tool.
Okay, Here you can show the stories to your students, and the best of these videos are that they have closed captions, so you can put the title and the students can be listening and reading in case that they don't understand very well, or they don't have a very good, or they don't have a high English level. And here we have different resources that you can use online or that you can download to use with your students, because if you see down the story, it says documents, so you can download all the activities. In case that you don't have internet access, you can download the story and you can share the story with your students, and after that do the activity. So you can use this activity online, or if you don't have internet access, you can use it offline, okay? I would like that Juan Carlos just play a little, just like maybe 30 seconds of the story so teachers can see how does it work. But please, Juan Carlos, before play, could you turn on the closed caption? I don't know if they are active now. So, okay, ready? Thank you very much.
Story time.
The Sneaky Rabbit. One night, when the moon was very bright, Rabbit was resting near a pond. He was very tired and wanted to go to sleep, but he was scared the tiger was going to eat him up. Rabbit tried and tried to stay awake. He looked up at the sky and started to count the stars. Soon Rabbit was fast asleep. Suddenly, a loud booming voice woke him up. It was Tiger.
Aha! Now I've got you, little rabbit. You'll be perfect
In my soup. Rabbit was very frightened, but he had an idea.
Okay, thank you, Juan Carlos, because time is running. Okay, on this, the video that Juan Carlos shows from the web page has this person reading the story, but there are other videos when you don't see any person reading the story and they just starting telling the story using just pictures, okay, or these kinds of cartoon characters, okay. You can also, in case that you want to use the video, but here on this website is not allowed to download these videos. If you don't have internet access, what you can do is that you can look for a similar story. You can find similar stories about these topics on YouTube, and you can use the story, but the activities that you can download from this web page, okay? So you can try to get different ideas to apply this in your classes, and they are very, very nice, okay? So if you have comments about this activity, questions about, you can write on the chat. We are going to be very attentive to answer you. Now I want to share with you, okay, sorry, before I finish with the activity, they have two, how can I say that, two ways to create their story, okay? The first one that I showed you with teacher Pablo was about a fairy, science fiction and horror, but there is another place on the web where you can create other stories like detective, adventure, and the other was fantasy, okay? Now, let's go to the other web page that I want to share with you. You can see that the activities are very, very nice, and this is very great for students from elementary levels or 6th, 7th grade, okay? Now, Juan Pablo, let's move. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, this is the other web page. The name is Storyline Online. This page also has an app that you can download on your cell phone, but on the app you are just going to watch the videos of the stories, no more. But here on the website you can watch the story. The story is always read by a famous character from Hollywood. And you can also find some resources for teachers to use when they are implementing these stories in their classes. So first, before going to the teacher's guide, we're going to watch just a little of the story. Juan Carlos, can you please just play 30 seconds? Maybe the teachers can
Welcome to the
share.
Storyline Online, brought to you by the SAG Foundation. I'm Kevin Costner, and this is
Joanna Bell.
And we're going to read to you a book today, and it's called, you might want to show them the book. What's it called?
It's called Catching the Moon by Crystal Hubbard, illustrated by Randy Duberg.
And it's a story of a young girl's baseball dream. Marcinia Lyle loved baseball. She loved the powdery taste of dust clouds as she slid through them. She loved the way the sun heated her hair as she crouched in the outfield waiting for fly balls. And she loved the sting in her palm as a baseball slammed into it right before tagging out a runner. If there was anything in the world better than baseball, Marcinia didn't know it. She dreamed of growing up to be a professional ball player so she could play ball all the time. I wish I knew why you like baseball so much, Mama sighed as she gently washed Marcinia's hair. Marcinia shrugged. Mama often questioned Marcinia's interest in baseball, particularly when washing food.
Okay, thank you, Juan Carlos. Okay, the best of this video is that you can find them in YouTube, so you can download them from YouTube or share with your students. And there you can find something that is called Teacher's Guide. On the Teacher's Guide, that is, okay, thank you. On the Teacher's Guide, you can find different activities to do before, while, and after reading. And you also can ask your students to do an extra writing talking about the message that they can find on the video. So I hope that you really love this website. It's wonderful. And in case that your students have an excellent cell phone, they can download the app to watch the stories, okay? And now let's listen to Carmen, who is going to share with us two more interesting tools. And remember that if you have some comments, questions, or doubts, you can write to us on the chat. I would like that, Juan Carlos, please, could you paste the links of these two websites on the chat so teachers can get them?
Yeah, he's doing that.
Okay, now let's continue with Carmen. Thank you very much.
Yes, give me a sec, please. All right. So the third tool that we have, it's called 5-card Flickr Stories. This is an online website where the student chooses 3, 4, or 5 cards that are images. So we have all the images down below the title. All the boxes, if you scroll down, you see some boxes, and these have to be filled in with information. It is key that the story has to be related to the images, otherwise it doesn't work. Then the story can be posted in social networks. So we are going to do this activity, and a teacher had told me previously that he would like to participate. So Christian, are you ready?
Hello, yes, I am. Tell me.
Okay. So Christian, you see the website, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Can you please choose? Okay, so we need to create. We need to go to create one. So you need to choose, for this exercise, we are only going to choose 4 cards.
Right.
So we need, Juan Carlos, we need to click on create one or create a new one. Okay, Christian, you're ready. Please choose 4 images.
Okay, let me see. I'm gonna choose. Let me see. Maybe the could be the one with the knife right here, right in the middle.
The one with the knife.
Okay.
Okay, next one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Okay, the next one would be?
Let me see. Could be. Let me see. The better one, right above. Yeah, that one.
Perfect. Number 3.
All right, it would be. Let me see. Okay, the last one. That's a beautiful one. Yeah, the one with this landscape. Yeah, no, the other one. Okay. Okay, fine.
And the last one.
Okay.
The fourth one? Yeah. So we already
Yeah,
have.
yeah. So the last one we
Oh.
have. Okay, we already have. I think we have already all the ones that we needed at the beginning
Okay,
of the.
perfect. Yeah.
Okay, we have all of them, I think.
Okay, Christian. So for this activity, remember that we need to fill in all the information. So we have title for story. Remember, you need to think about the images and everything, or what you do, it has to be related to the images. So what is the title that you would like to choose for your activity?
Okay, let me see. Could be going from a gray day to a beautiful landscape.
Going from, can you please repeat?
Going from let me see. Going from a could be a going from a bad day could be better to say going from a bad day.
Going from a bad day.
Okay, to a beautiful landscape.
To a beautiful landscape.
Beautiful landscape. Exactly.
You're very
That's right.
creative, teacher.
I'm trying. I do my best.
Please give us a second.
Okay.
And then we have a comments or explanations. So here is where you need to create your story. Remember all the elements that Janet mentioned at the beginning. The 3 main elements. So in the beginning, the middle, and the end.
Okay, so I'm going to start my presentation or my history. Of course, going from the one that the picture that I have in the left, I'm going to the one that I have finally in the on the right side, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, perfect. Once upon a time, I was sitting, crying on a park.
Teacher, can you please give us some time because Juan Carlos is typing.
Okay, all right. Once upon a time,
yeah, keep going.
I was crying. Well, let's change the subject. Okay, we're gonna say not I. Let's say a little boy was crying. Okay.
Third person.
A little boy was crying. Once upon a time, a little boy was crying. Okay. In the park. Let's say let's give a place. I think it's crucial. It's very important to do it. Okay. Suddenly, perfect. Suddenly, a fella came down to him. Okay. Good. The fella came from a little bird. A little bird came from a little bird. Okay. That was flying over him. All right, that was flying over him. Over, oh, no, it would be over him, okay? Over him. That's right, okay. The boy realized that the bird was flying really happily. Or was flying really happy. Even though, okay, the weather was awful. The weather was awful. And and he thought it would be, yeah, THO, so that's the past of the thing, or thought, exactly. And he thought that even, right, in the worst conditions, and even the worst conditions, okay, you have to be confident enough. You have to be confident enough to keep going.
To keep
To
going.
keep it going. To keep going. To keep going. To keep going. Fine.
Okay.
So he changed his mind. Put aside his problems, and and closed his eyes to change the reality and forget his problems.
All right. That's your last sentence. Is that your last sentence?
Oh, well, I think I can't say something else in the end. In the end, we can say that in the end, all right, the bad weather changed by a beautiful landscape, and he felt much better.
Okay, that's your conclusion.
Good. Yeah.
Okay, so after the student writes the story, okay, if you scroll down, the story will be posted in social networks.
Good.
Okay, thank you so much, Teacher Christian. You were
very welcome.
Okay.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much for inviting me. Yeah.
Thanks to you. This activity is also very useful if you tell your students that, for example, they need to write 4 paragraphs. The first, of course, is the introduction. They need to write 2 supporting paragraphs and a conclusion. All this reinforces the writing process. And of course, they also need to include main ideas, supporting ideas, transitional words, plus grammatical structures. Maybe one of the disadvantages of this website is that since most of your students are under 18 years old and they need permission to use social networks, this exercise can also be adapted using Word documents. I would like to hear some comments in the chat about this website, 5 Card Flickr Stories. Another important point in this website is that every time that you open it, it randomly will show you different images. But Carlos, do we have any comments in the chat?
Well, they were asking about how can students do this activity. I was writing that our students, because depending on of the English level they have, they can just use 2 pictures to create their stories, the only one sentence, and they didn't have to write or upload it on the website. They can do it in the classes using another tool. So we can think about other ideas to include this strategy in our classes. Even we can't take different pictures as I told you at the beginning to create your stories, okay?
Thank you, Janet. All right, so we are going to the fourth tool, which is called, we need the other slide. It is called Let's Tell a Story. Let's Tell a Story is the online version of the traditional game Story Cubes that I am showing in the camera, okay, where you need to roll the dice. To do this exercise, it is important and it is required that your students use all the creativity and imagination they have. Remember that at the beginning we said that these are key elements in storytelling. So to play it, the student or the teacher says, for instance, Janet, you need to roll the dice. Okay. And they choose the number of dice here, or the student wants to roll. For this activity, we are only going to use 3. So Juan Carlos, if you can please choose 3 dice. And depending and according to the images, they need to create the story. Sometimes the images can be confusing. So for this activity, first of all, we are going to say what each die means. And we need a volunteer. Who would like to volunteer for this activity? You can also write in the chat or you can raise your hand.
What about Gladys? Gladys Arboleda. She's here.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Juan Carlos. 3 dice, please. Okay, guys, let's see. The first image is a...
I have to choose one?
Now here you can see the 3 images. Okay, so we need to define because sometimes the images are can be confusing. So let's say what they are. The first image is a
tower?
Yeah, it seems like a tower.
Like a tower with a heart inside.
Okay, the second image is a
Cup.
cup. And the third image is
A bus.
a bus. Okay, once again, the teacher can set all the rules for this activity. All right, Gladys, remember that you need to create a story using or keeping in mind the 3 elements. Beginning, middle, and end.
Yes. So, what I have to do?
Create a story.
Orally?
With those 3 images.
Okay.
Creativity, Gladys.
Thank you. Once upon a time, there was a big tower in a main kingdom where lived a beautiful princess, but she was enclosed in that tower. Suddenly appeared a beautiful witch with a cup and wine to offer to the princess. But the princess didn't want to drink the wine. She was all the time sad. The witch is like she was her mother. I wanted to know why the princess was so sad. Suddenly appeared a bus, a big bus with a prince inside, a beautiful prince who wanted to rescue the princess from that tower. He went down to the bus, climbed the tower, and rescued the princess.
Oh my goodness, Gladys.
That's all. That's a happy end.
Great activity. Did you like it?
Yes, of course.
Okay, this activity can be used, for example, yes, thank you.
Well, your pleasure.
It can be used, for instance, if you want your students to use the past tense, that would be perfect, or any tense, basically. Any comments about the website?
No, the teachers are asking for the links, but Juan Carlos are putting them on the chat. So I think that all the teachers have access to all the links of these activities.
And they are asking if we can send them through emails.
Yes,
Okay.
we will. We will, and we will give you more information about tools.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Ashley, consider what you've done. It's so far it's great. I mean, congratulations. I understand we haven't finished yet, but anyway, it is like that you have shown that you have done a great job, you know, and it is like, you know, I'm very happy. I feel really, really happy because you have given us like and provided us with very good, you know, activities, tools, ideas on how to improve our students' communication in the classroom. So yes, very, very good.
Thank you for your comment. In fact, sometimes we hear the websites, but the most important is that we need to try. We need to try new things. Okay, Janet, you can go with
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, now that we're having this situation of giving classes online, we need to have a lot of resources to implement in our classes and to motivate our students. So I hope that all these tools be very useful for you and that you can implement them in your classes and get the best of them. Okay, now sometimes we think that, okay, maybe yes, this works, but our students cannot do it, or it's not as easy as we are showing here. Or maybe, okay, what happened to our students that don't have a internet connection and things like that. So I want to share with you 3 activities that I have done with my students, and they have worked, and I think they have worked very well. Okay, so the first activity that I'm going to show you is a video from one of my students. This video was like the final product of the second term. We were talking about the situations in the pandemic. We were having some readings and activities about the pandemic, taking care of themselves at home and so on, as most of you have done. And finally, sorry, let me and finally, they had to create a comic telling about situations that they have lived that they were if they were in other situations they wouldn't happen. So they created comic, and after that they should explain the comic to the other partners, and they allow these activities in classroom. On this case, the student that we're going to show, she created the comic using a tool that is called Piston, and she recorded the video using her cell phone. Okay, so let's see the activity. Thank you, Juan Carlos.
This comic is called Pandemic Situations. I think I better do all the tasks that I can in one day, and so I have more free time. I miss dancing. Ugh, when I get up late, I feel like I haven't taken advantage of the day as I should. I will start with my exercise routine. I will learn languages to take advantage of time. I will visit some friends with the necessary measures, clearly. A very different birthday and that I didn't expect. Such a great meme. I'm going to share it. Then share 20 memes per day.
Okay, this is one of the activities. And I have another one that was talking about teenager situations. So I asked my students to create a short story, and my student used a Word document to create their story, but she didn't pay attention to the copyrights, and she did it using some pictures about this is like, I don't know, I'm not sure because I didn't see it before. I think it's a series or a movie that is called Miraculous Girl. So she took those pictures and she created her story about situations that are living the teenagers. That was the topic of the third term. Okay, so could you, Juan Carlos, please share with us the story? That is a Word document. No, that is.
You have it.
No.
You have it, Janet. You have it. Is it
Okay.
possible that you share it?
Yes, I uploaded. Okay, maybe it didn't download it. Okay, one moment, please. Hmm. Okay, maybe I'm gonna have to show you later because I can't download it from the web.
Yeah, Janet, don't worry. So we can show it later on.
Okay, this activity, Carmen, can you talk about this activity while I'm going to be checking my other activities to share?
Okay,
Please?
this was very simple. This was only, let me open the camera. Yeah, perfect. This is very simple. This is how students edit pictures or photos. They only need the photo. They go to pictures, and by using Paint 3D, they make all the changes to the picture. So for this activity, they were asked to work with the verb to be, the situations when we use the verb to be, and then they uploaded and the platform that we use. Okay, so she wrote about her trip to another country, and she talks about her friends and about her family. Remember that for this activity, they don't need to use internet.
Okay, Juan Carlos, can I share with my screen? Can I share?
Just a moment, please.
Okay.
Okay, it's your turn.
Juan Carlos, the documents were on the folder that we created in our in OneDrive. So in case that you cannot let me share, you can show them. I can't share my screen.
Are you all enjoying this webinar? Hopefully the answer is yes. Well, the idea was to give you some information, but also practical tools.
Okay, now you can fill out the satisfaction survey that is on the chat while Juan Carlos tried to help me with my other two activities that I wanted to show you. So please, let's start checking the survey. Juan Carlos, there are two options. One that I can share my screen or that you can show us from the drive, from the folder that we have on Drive. And there you can find the two documents that I upload about the students, okay?
Janet, can we please keep going and then we will show the activity done by
Okay,
the
okay,
student?
so yes, no problem, okay. So continue, Carmen. Juan Carlos, you need to share again the PowerPoint presentation so that Carmen can continue with the activity.
Next slide. Next. No, it's one previous. All right. So far we have only shown you 5 different tools that you can use in the classroom. Okay, but there are many. They are classified into 3 categories of software and technology tools. First, we have software programs. Second, software through a web-based interface. And third, we have applications that run on smartphones and tablets. Okay, we are going to show you 2 websites where you can find them. It is important to keep in mind that some of them are for free while others are not. So Juan Carlos, can you please open the first link, techlearning.com. Okay, so here, if you scroll down, you will see, if you scroll down a little bit more, a little bit more, you will see so much information and you will find all the tools that you can use. The other one, don't worry, we are going to share this presentation and you will have all the links. And the second one, it's called Digital Storytelling. Maybe some of them are repeated, but the most important here is that you take the time, that you explore if you have the time. I know that we are always busy, but you need to choose the one that best or that is more appropriate for your students or for the ages that you are teaching. All right, so we have come to the conclusions. We are going to give you some minutes to think about conclusions after listening to us or after trying some of the websites and tools that we have shown you. If you know some of them, we really appreciate that you write in the chat the name of those websites or applications that you know, that we can share with everybody. Okay, so I'm going to give you 3 minutes to think about some of the conclusions on storytelling. You can write the conclusions in the chat. Janet or Juan Carlos, can you please help me reading some of the comments?
Yes, yes, I'm checking, waiting for teachers to write the conclusions.
Thanks.
Maybe teachers can write on the chat, what do you think about storytelling? Do you think that it can be useful for your classes? And would you like to include them in your activities? And do you think that your students are going to improve their basic skills using this storytelling? Okay, what do you think about that?
Well, actually, the most important, it's that today we're working online. I think most of us are working online. So what you've done, as I said it before, it's something very meaningful because this is actually what we need. Because as I said, previously we were used to teach in the classroom, right? But now we're online. So yes, all this bunch of activities you have presented today are very, very important. And I feel it in the comments they have in the chat. I mean, everyone has participated and has said, you know, that what you've done, it's wonderful. It says like great presentation, these tools are very important, storytelling is motivating. I mean, those comments are in the chat, and actually, yes, I mean, applause for you and congratulations, and because this is actually what we need. This workshop is very, very meaningful because of that, because you have shown like online activities, you see. So yes, very, very good.
Thank you for your comments. All right, so Janet, do we have any more comments in the chat?
Okay, let me see. Okay, he has said that this is a great activity because we can learn new tools for our work. I really enjoy activities you share with us. Okay, I'll apply some of them to encourage my students to improve their learning process. Storytelling is a motivation way to develop the skills in our students. And okay, you can motivate your students with nice and funny storytelling.
Yeah, so motivation is a key element in storytelling.
Excellent tools to improve creativity and writing.
Yeah, it reinforces for sure the writing progresses.
And here says to motivate their creativity and develop their communicative skills. Okay.
All right. So let me complement some of those conclusions that we really appreciate your comments. So after this presentation, we can conclude that the storytelling is definitely a research skill. Okay, not only for topics that happened in the past, but also, for instance, what is happening right now with the situation that we are living. They need to research about how a vaccine will work, okay, to overcome the situation. It is definitely spelling, writing, a teamwork, and it requires technical skills, not only for the students, but also for teachers. So we are also on the same boat. Information literacy improves. Remember the 5 literacies. In the case when we have students from different countries, or even we sometimes have students from different cities. We have students from Huila, Pasto, Santa Marta. So it promotes the intercultural competence. And it's also very interesting for them to know about things are done in different parts of our country. It incorporates aspects of the curriculum, since it uses multimedia and social networking in order to increase the global participation, collaboration, and communication skills. We also have to keep in mind the 21st century technology skills, which are literacy, visual, global awareness, communication, and technology literacy. It boosts communication for new students and increases confidence. Remember that some of students are very quiet because they don't feel comfortable speaking, even though they are surrounded by their own friends or classmates. It is a transfer of knowledge, skills, and cultures. Motivation is key element that we cannot, that we always have to, like, to be able to use it in our favor. It is a challenging activity, not only for the students, but also for teachers, because throughout the whole process, we also have to learn how to use the tools. Personalized students' experience. Remember that they adapt the stories to their own lives. A student-centered activity, for sure. And perhaps something that we haven't mentioned, but that is crucial, is that storytelling is aligned to education for sustainable development as stated by UNESCO in 2010. It also uses a constructivist learning context, the construction of knowledge. It supports the whole processes and end products of teaching and learning via the medium of digital storytelling. It involves the whole process from the beginning until the end of the story. It's a complete process. And finally, it can also lead to a multimodal approach. And this is an approach that requires the use of media and the use of the 5 senses. If anybody has more conclusions, okay, please remember you are welcome to write in the chat.
Okay, so I think that's all because I couldn't share the other activity with you. I'm so sorry. And remember to fill out the survey about the webinar. Now we want to invite our boss, Grace. Maybe she can.
Janet, hold on. Janet, hold on. Does anybody have any question?
Okay, yes.
Do you or Juan Carlos can see any question in the chat?
Okay, but they have written comments before about the activity, so maybe because of that they are not writing more now.
All right. So Grace.
Okay, thank you so much. You were doing very well. Thank you. I appreciate your support. I think it was an interesting webinar. Thank you, Gloria, Janet, Juan Carlos, Carmen. I know that you were spending many hours to preparing this webinar. We appreciate that you shared your knowledge and experiences. It was very interesting.
But it's always worthy.
Yes, yes, of course. Well, dear teachers, thank you so much for attending this webinar. We really appreciate your participation and comments. And now our colleague Gloria from Universidad Cooperativa will invite you to our next webinar. And well, have a wonderful afternoon and we keep in touch. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks to you.
Gloria.
Okay, hello everybody. This is an invitation from Universidad Cooperativa de Colombia. You're cordially invited to our webinar, which is gonna be held October the 21st, sorry. And ours is gonna be about more presentation tools and resources, but we will take a glance at the history of the web and its inventions and how they come up with virtual education that we are working right now with. Don't miss it. We hope to see you there. Thank you.
Okay.
Question, Gloria, is that a Wednesday or a Saturday?
It's a Wednesday. It's a Wednesday.
From 4
to 6. Uh-huh.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your participation, and we really hope that you enjoy our webinar and that you can implement these wonderful tools, okay?
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
you.
Before you
See you
go,
next
it's
time.
really
Janet, thank you.
okay. Don't forget to fill the last survey, please.
Yes, we need you fill it up.
I don't know if there are some comments. So.
No, just thanking. People is thinking about the activity.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, again, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
It was a very nice webinar.
Los felicito. Congratulations.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Very nice. Thank you, Carlos, Pablo, Christian. We appreciate your support too.
Congratulations, team. Pretty good. Excellent.
Thank you, Liliana.
Thank you, Liliana.
Good. Impeccable work. Impeccable.
Are we close the session?
I don't know.
I'm going to, yeah, how do I?
Is it possible to take a picture of some of the comments?
I don't know, but I check. Okay, select all.
And Carlos and
Yes.
And Carmen, when you are talking between you, the sounds is awful. I mean, the microphones.
September 9th.
Okay, but it's...
University, okay.
No, es que en un momento quedó los dos micrófonos ahí.
Y se acomodó el sonido.
En un momento estaban los dos micrófonos abiertos.
Exacto.
De hecho, lo que pasó fue
en un momento.
En el momento.
Este es un ejercicio en solitario porque igual los que estamos desde la distancia apoyando el evento estamos solos interactuando y es muy importante, pienso yo, tener esa retroalimentación de la audiencia, ¿no?
Sí, claro, por supuesto.
Pero el tema de la participación en el chat, pues es muy importante que haya alguien allí dinamizando, digamos, leyendo, porque la persona que está, el webinar está concentrado en la presentación.
Perdón, Grace, antes de que siga, ¿por qué no terminamos?
Hay personas
¿Por qué no,
todavía en
perdón,
la...
Janet, sí, ¿por qué no terminamos la sesión?
Ya la terminamos.
Pero todavía hay personas aquí.
Ah, bueno, no, pues bienvenido, no estamos diciendo nada secreto.
Termina.
Y todavía.
¿Termina la sesión, Juan Carlos?
Ok, ya un momento, por favor.
No, pienso que lo más importante es, o sea, las conclusiones me parecieron súper interesantes, las conclusiones que hicieron ustedes al final, y los comentarios que estamos haciendo igual interesan a los profes que todavía están por ahí, en el sentido de que estamos viviendo un momento muy difícil y el tema de la tecnología y de estar todo el tiempo en contacto con los estudiantes, pues con el apoyo de las TIC, pues no es fácil, ¿no?
No, y esta es la realidad.
Totalmente creativo, innovador, proponer ejercicios todo el tiempo que para lograr mantenerlos concentrados, enfocados, y storytelling es súper chévere porque los estudiantes, pues...
Listo,
Ya estamos solos, ya lo sacamos entre Juan Carlos y
Está
yo.
bien, gracias, Glory.
Entre Juan Carlos y yo lo sacamos.
Esa es la actitud.
Hacer un balance.
Es que no se querían ir.
Hagamos
No,
un
se
balance, pues.
querían, ¿cómo es? El detrás de cámara, el chisme
Sí, no se
completo,
querían
Gloria.
ir, nada.
Bueno, yo tengo una pregunta, Grace. ¿Nosotros cuándo vamos a tener acceso a esos resultados de esa encuesta?
¿De cuál encuesta?
De la encuesta de satisfacción.
Ah, bueno, la Cámara de Comercio esta mañana hablaba con Carolina precisamente a raíz de la pregunta de algunos que están pues como muy pendientes de su certificación. Pues ella me decía que por este medio, lo que les estaba comentando, o sea, que ha sido muy difícil, o sea, evaluar, hacer seguimiento, o sea, ellos también están, o sea, todo está en construcción. En este momento lo que se está haciendo es recopilando los videos, grabando las sesiones. Se van a reunir esta semana en la mesa de bilingüismo para decidir el tema de certificaciones, pero lo que me decía Carolina, es muy difícil por este medio certificar a alguien. Es posible
Hubo gente que se conectó tardísimo, Grace.
Sí, claro. Gente que se conectó tarde.
15 minutos antes de acabar.
Pero no está. Gente que está conectada, pero no está. O sea,
también.
Es la primera vez que hacemos este tipo de ejercicios. Entonces, mira, Liliana, súper chévere el backing del Centro de Lenguas, pero se ve al revés.
¿Cómo así? Yo tengo al derecho.
No logramos cuadrar.
Yo no tengo al derecho.
Miren, yo veo el mío y el de Janet, lo veo desde aquí.
Perdón, voy a tener un ratico.
Están al revés. Lo que usted, el tuyo, Grace, el tuyo está al revés. El tuyo se ve al revés.
Pero miren, voy a tomar la foto para que vean que se ve al revés. Y con Rafael le tomamos, o sea, yo estoy desde las 7:45 sentada acá con Rafael. Hicimos todo lo que había que hacer y no pudimos enderezarlo. Yo lo veía derecho, Janet igual. El de Gloria siempre está al revés. Ahora te estoy viendo con el backing.
No, pero Gloria sí debe revisar bien lo del backing para que cuando le toque a ella la presentación esté al derecho, Gloria. Tienes que de pronto que Juan Carlos te asesore y lo puedas arreglar.
Tan raro, yo veo el mío
pero WhatsApp, la foto que estoy tomando en este momento.
Pero fue la instrucción que les dio Juan Carlos, es editarlo, o sea, como estamos editando las
fotos. Yo lo
de los
edité,
estudiantes.
No.
Nada.
Rafael me apoyó todo el tiempo, desde las 7:45 le dimos la vuelta por aquí, por allá, yo le dije, ay no, dejémoslo así.
Pero a nosotros nos funcionó.
Bueno, venga, les comento.
Aprenderla a manejar.
Venga, les comento. El chat estuvo muy activo y fueron siempre...
Perdóname, Liliana, antes de que sigan ese tema del backing, ese backing del Centro de Lenguas es negro y eso se ve horrible. Ahí les mandé una foto. Eso se ve horrible. No sé, hay que esperar unos... A mí me parece... Mira, ahí te lo estoy mandando. ¿Ya lo viste, Liliana?
Estoy mirándolo.
¿Estás mirando la foto? Se ve al revés.
Sí, sí se ve. O sea, yo lo coloqué.
ve negro, se ve extraño. A mí no me gusta.
Pero ¿cómo era tu orientación? Tu orientación era que usáramos ese.
No, pero es que no, ese no es el punto de discusión, Liliana. El punto es que está horrible. Está horrible.
No, el problema es que ninguno ha podido cuadrarlo.
Nosotros le botamos tanta corriente a simplemente voltear ese backing y perdónenme, olvidamos lo más importante que era
se fue la conexión.
el webinar. Miren, ahí ustedes, pues, le voy a tomar una foto a Janet.
Gracias.
Miren, le voy a tomar una foto a Janet y se las voy a mandar. Mire, se ve el backing de aquí, el backing de Janet se ve derecho. Miren, se los voy a mandar. Liliana. Y registra bien.
Ah, gracias. Súper.
Si lo ves, está derecho. Y si ven la foto en la parte superior que estoy yo lo veo derecho aquí.
Sí, acá se ve torcido.
Entonces, yo insisto, miren, ya faltaba un cuarto para las 9 y todavía volteando con eso. Me parece que le dimos importancia a esas cosas que realmente pues son más estéticas y todo por seguir la directriz y que bueno, que el back, no sé. A mí me parece que para resaltar lo que estaba diciendo Liliana, sigue Liliana, los comentarios.
Bueno.
Los profes en el chat.
Los comentarios siempre fueron muy buenos, o sea, la acogida a las actividades, la gente decía awesome, estaban súper maravillados y me pareció que impactó positivamente, muy positivamente, eran recursos que se necesitaban y digamos que fueron muy apreciados. Lo mismo que cuando participan otras personas, además de Quirós y de Juan Pablo, de Pablo también me pareció muy chévere porque era lo que de pronto, como lo no controlable, pero esta gente estaba a favor de participar y de hacer las cosas muy bien y de hecho así lo hicieron, con muy buena disposición. Y allí hay unos profesores que tienen una formación en TICS, o sea, que han viajado hasta Seúl, porque, o sea, a Edgar lo han mandado hasta Seúl porque él trabaja su inglés digamos que fundamentado en TICS, y sus opiniones fueron excelentes también. Y él es muy ácido, él es muy fuerte para hacer, digamos, para regalar algo. Y entonces
algo engreído, eso sí lo puede decir.
¿Cómo?
Engreído.
Sí, él es muy
el tema es que era lo que yo quería decirles, que independientemente de que estuvieran otros profesores allí, este sigue siendo un ejercicio en solitario. Y cuando uno es el speaker, cuando uno está como profesor atento al grupo y demás, o sea, por más multitask que queramos ser, es imposible. O sea, los comentarios se quedan en el chat, no sé, para responder la pregunta, Jenny, no sé si esos comentarios en los chats van a quedar de alguna manera grabados para hacer la retroalimentación, porque lo que se nos pidió fue grabar la sesión, como grabamos nuestras clases, entonces sí, grabamos la sesión, pero